All right. Good day. It is currently an afternoon for me, but anyway, I'm making this video so that I don't have to introduce this to you guys in class. This will be your term project for METHER1. Okay. So your term project will be called Seeing with Thermodynamics, and basically you'll create a term paper. I don't know what's with the font here. It's supposed to be Helvetica. But anyway, right? What you're going to create is a term paper that reflects how your view of the world has changed after learning more about thermodynamics. Okay? Over the course of the term, you have been intently studying different thermodynamic principles. Like, let's say, for example, the first law, right? Conservation of mass, stuff like that, right? And you've been using them to look at problems in a different, perhaps a more rigorous or a systematic light. By this point, hopefully, it is clear to you that the path to mechanical engineering proficiency is laden with more thermo. After Method 1 is Method 2. And after Method 2, you have, I don't know, Mehetra, MechFlu, RefSys, Mecombe, air vent, stuff like that, right? A major part of mechanical engineering is all about thermodynamics, right? You will look at more systems with ever increasing levels of detail and scrutiny, knowing at the very least that energy can neither be created nor destroyed through the words of the first law. Has it changed the way you view the world? Has the way you interact with other people, other things, and the environment in general changed? Has your mind been open to the consequences of your actions and the actions of humankind in general? So basically, this is the reason behind why I want you guys to have this project, right? This was the project that I have done back in what 2019, and this is the one that I would like for you to do, because for me, I understand that studying can only get you to, I don't know, to a certain place, right? Being there, thinking about it, reflecting, right? It will get you to another kind of comprehension, right? That I feel is important, especially as you guys are going to grow up as engineering students and as engineers in general, right? I would not like to raise a generation of engineers that are only, concerned with the numbers, right? The numbers mean things, right? They mean things, and they are important not only for the sake of computation but also for the sake of application. What are they for, right? What are you doing this all for, right? And so, right, what you will do is you will create an essay about one of the following main discussion topics. There are three. Please do not pick more than one. Okay, just one is enough. If you do two or three, I will render your submission null and void. Right, that's an automatic zero. Right? While it is important to supply correct, objective information, I would like for this essay to be an opportunity for you to reflect upon what you've learned so far in thermo and see how it has changed the way you see things. Okay? So before we only had this one, right? This one discussion topic, but now I will extend this to make it three topics, three possible topics for you, right? The first one is the one that I've done before, your energy usage. Talking about things like heat, work, power, and energy will inevitably make oneself conscious about their energy habits. Like right now, I have my electric fan on, the modem is on, the router is on, my phone, I mean, it's not connected to anything, right? My speakers are on, the monitor is on, of course, my computer is on, there's this little light that's on, right? Perhaps being immersed in these kinds of conversations will make you even a little guilty about wasting energy, right? Knowing the first law, however, excuse me, Cole is here with me. Knowing the first law, however, you're not really wasting energy, you're just turning it into another form. And so now the question presents itself, should you then consume electricity with reckless abandon? Supposing, of course, that it does not have cost, but that's another thing in and of itself, right? Or on the other hand, should you micromanage your energy habits, right? In the grand scheme of things, will this even matter? Will you, as an individual, right? Will your habits matter? For this discussion topic, you must tally and record your energy or electricity use over a period of time. Say, for example, 1 week or maybe 2 weeks. Thing about this is that I am giving this to you guys on November 1. And as you will see, the deadline for this will be in about a month or so, right? And what you will do, right, is you will record your energy and electricity usage over a period through the different wattages of your appliances. Of course, say for example, the electric fan here has a certain wattage, my monitor here has a certain wattage, the CPU has a certain wattage, even your chargers have a certain wattage, and you record the time that you have used them, right? This is going to be very tedious, but at the very least, you gain some sense of awareness, right? That's very important. I believe that is right. Take note of the appliances that would normally go unnoticed, like lights and chargers, right? I don't have a light currently, right? I only have this light from the computer, right? And you be smart with how you present your data, okay? I will leave you guys to it, right? It depends how you want to present your data. If you want to make it in a table form, in a graph form, doesn't matter, right? Just be smart with it, right? I want you to be able to synthesize your data very effectively for the people who are taking data in, right? Then, with the amount of electricity you consume and perhaps the associated cost through your electricity bill, comment on your habits. Right? This is a very vague statement. Right? I'm asking you to comment. That doesn't mean like you just have like one or two sentences and then that's it. Right? This could be as general as just justifying your usage habits. Say, for example, it's this way because la 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 la. Or maybe if you're very conscious about your habits and you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I consumed way too much electricity this month or this week, something like that, right? Maybe you can think of ways how to arrive to your energy usage goals. Maybe you say to yourself, you know what, I will only use the air conditioner at blank. Maybe something like that, right? If ever you have goals, you can say them here. Maybe you just want to be, I don't know, maybe you just want to be aware first, right? Awareness is the first step, right? And finally, comment on the first paragraph, right? The questions in there. Should you just consume electricity endlessly, right? On the other hand, should you just micromanage yourself? Does this even matter, right? Does all of this ultimately matter, knowing that the energy still exists? It's just elsewhere in another form. Why are we made to be conscious about our energy usage habits in the first place, right? That's something that, is worth thinking about, right? Why? Just because of the cost, right? I understand because of the cost, right? If you want to save up on money, then don't spend or don't consume a lot of electricity, right? I invite you to be reflective about this topic. This could go a lot of different places if you just think about it very critically, if you present your information in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that, if you write it in a way that makes sense to the reader, which is me, right? That's going to be a very, very interesting, how should I say this? That's going to be a very interesting output. Okay? Topic 2, a problem redefined or resolved. It's completely natural to be endlessly curious as a child or as a maturing adult. Perhaps you've asked your parents or other people about something which was never really truly answered, right? Maybe the questions or maybe the answers they tell you are just like, well, it's like that. Or, well, it's meant to be that way, right? I understand it's very frustrating. Sometimes I give answers like that, which is a bit frustrating for me as well because now that I think about it, why are things the way they are? Right? Perhaps that question is something that still exists in the back of your mind. Perhaps it is something that gnaws at you still. In any case, sometimes all it takes for such a monumental problem to be solved is through a random video you find in YouTube, right? Why is the sky blue? And then suddenly there's a YouTube short that says, oh, Rayleigh dissipation, and then la la la. And then, well, it's solved, right? Maybe you can find that through a random video in YouTube or an otherwise unremarkable lecture you hear in class. Upon learning about different problem-solving methods over the course of the term, what problems have experienced a second wind within you, right? What problems were you thinking about as a kid? And now, because you've heard my lecture about the first law, maybe about the conservation of mass, something like that, maybe you think about it again and you're like, it's because of the first law, or maybe using the first law you can answer your problem. For this discussion topic, you must provide exposition to your problem at hand by contextualizing when you first thought about it, and why it remains relevant to you now. Of course, I need to know what's going on, right? And then provide how a concept in thermodynamics, the concept you mentioned does not have to be mentioned in class first, okay? I will be discussing over the last few weeks of this term the second law, okay? And so you can already be ahead of me in discussing about the second law in your essay. It doesn't matter, right? You can even go, I don't know, with the third law, which I don't know where that's going to be useful for us, but okay, go ahead, right? Conservation mass also works. It doesn't matter, right? Just provide a concept in thermodynamics that you think helps in helping you understand things better and helping you rethink the problem, right? And maybe even solve the problem. Okay. I have to say that the best essays that I've received, the best outputs I've received are of this topic, right? Sometimes it becomes metaphorical, and it's okay. It's completely okay if you think about things in a metaphorical sense. Maybe, I don't know, if with your emotions, or maybe with something, I don't know, right? But if we think about things, if we recontextualize things in terms of a more scientific, more thermodynamic kind of thinking, maybe, you have a solution at hand, right? In the case that your problem is more philosophical, you may comment on how this thermodynamic principle has helped you ease your mind. Because, well, if it's philosophical, then I don't think there's a good answer for that, right? I understand that this may be a personal topic for some of you. Okay, so please practice discernment in what you wish to share, but rest assured, unless, right, I ask you that, like, I want other people to read it, I will be the only one to read your submission. Okay? Now, topic 3, of course, right? When we're talking about any kind of physics subject, any kinds of science subject, it is impossible to escape discussion about the environment. It is also impossible that within that discussion, we do not mention the collective actions of humanity that have caused irreparable damage to other peoples, other species, and basically nature itself, right? We have always thought of ourselves as, we burn the Amazon. We poison the Pacific Ocean with the garbage that's coming from the Philippines, something like that, right? Now, right, we characterize ourselves like that, right, in our quest to search for and use natural resources for our own gain. But upon learning more about thermo, were your thoughts about the environment and possible environmental conservation techniques changed? Right? Maybe because you now learned about thermo, you're like, maybe this thing is not going to be as effective, or maybe this other policy change will make things more effective. Maybe, right? With the help of thermodynamic principles, do you now understand the urgency, or lack thereof, that activists, policymakers, and the average layperson feel when talking about global warming? Right? Is it really that urgent? Right? Can't we delay this for, like, I don't know, another couple of decades? Right? For this discussion topic, you must choose an environmental issue that we are currently experiencing or that you personally resonate with. Okay? Discuss why exactly it is relevant or interesting to you. And the topic need not be something as cliche as air pollution. Although, okay, I get it. If you want air pollution, fine. Just know that when I see it, I'm like, an air pollution thing. Right? Very novel. Okay? It doesn't have to be as cliche as air pollution or global warming, although I would understand if you choose those scenarios, right? Maybe you've heard of something in a news article, like, say, for example, I don't know, the kids in Africa dying because they're trying to get these rare minerals, like, let's say, for example, lithium. Maybe that's an environmental issue that you would like to explore, right? Maybe there are other stuff, or maybe there are other kinds of issues like that you would like to explore. And your topic may be as specific as discussing about open pit mining, noise pollution, currently like one of the interests that I have, and the use of and banning of certain types of refrigerants. If you don't know what those are, don't worry about it. Okay, maybe find something else. But right, the thing about it is this: discuss why you believe this problem is urgent, or discuss why you think it's interesting, and discuss how it affects the common person. Right? Why should someone who's reading this care? right? At the end, you may discuss current policies that attempt to address the topic, or you may choose to comment on these policies from a more scientific perspective. Of course, I'm still looking here for a kind of a thermodynamic principle, or at the very least, a scientific principle that you can anchor your discussion on, right? Those of us who dabble in the hard sciences believe that policy changes should come with both the people and rigorous science in mind, right? It's not just, policy change because, I don't know, right? It needs to have some thought backed into it, right? It is time for you to weigh in as well. Okay. And so now the requirements are as follows. Again, you need to choose one of the three topics, right? And at this point, I'm going to need some effort, right? I'm going to require you guys some effort for you to finish this, right? The essay must consist of at least 2,000 words. Pictures are allowed, of course, right? But there's no minimum page count, so go bananas, right? Do not put a title page. I do not want to see that, like the DLSU logo and then the blah 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 and then impartial fulfillment of. I don't need that. Okay, I just want to see your name, your ID number, your section. That's it. If you want to have a title for your essay, go ahead. Right? If you don't want it, don't. Right? Don't put it. Right? The document details are as follows. I'll be looking at this, of course. The document should be on letter size paper. This is short bond paper. The margins should be 1/2 inch on all sides. The paper should be stapled, right? I don't want to just like have pieces of paper lying around. I do not need a folder, right? A font size is 12. Line spacing is 1.5. The font style is any serif font, right? Serif fonts are the ones that, have the little stems and stuff. You know what? Let's just sans versus serif versus sans serif. Serif versus sans serif. If ever, right? If ever people don't understand what this is, this will let you know. Okay, so let you know. The one on the left is a sans serif, literally without serif, and the other one is the serif, right? So any kind of serif font would do. I just want this to be a little bit professional, right? Anyway, right? Font style is any serif font of your choosing. Just please make it legible. Okay, I don't want to see, I don't know, like Lucida handwriting. Yeah, that's a serif font. Anyway, and the text should be justified, okay? I don't want left align, I want justified. And if you want any citations, or if you have any citations, say for example, you're going to discuss the environment paper, go ahead, right? Do the in-text citations, right? Do the bibliography near the end, okay? Just make sure that it follows the most current APA edition. Okay, not following these instructions results in a -3 for every bullet point not followed. Okay, so if you're not following any of these, then that is -3, -6, -9, -12, -15, -18, -21. So, right? Anyway, the goal of this project is for you to be introspective of how learning thermal has changed your view on at least one aspect of the world, right? One of three. While I am not restricting the use of LLMs as a tool to gather and synthesize information on your essay, I am restricting the use of LLMs in writing the paper. I understand. You guys are STEM people. And when STEM people are presented with writing a paper, they groan. I get you. But the thing is, in your job, in the future, it's not like you're just going to not write reports. It's not like you're just going to talk to people. No. Of course, you're still going to write stuff down. Okay? Writing stuff down is a human thing. Everyone will do it. Even us. Right? Especially for those who want to enter the academe, right? You are going to write down reports on top of research papers, on top of more things. And this is your second year. In your fourth year, of course, you will have your thesis. If you don't start now, if you don't start having these kinds of little engagements, I feel like you will be way more unprepared when you will be writing down your thesis. Okay? So I would like to see your own writing style. And the thing about this is that I'm already angling this to be a little bit more personal. right? Especially with the second topic, right? If you want things to be a little bit more personal, go ahead. I want to see your style come through because I have a style. I don't know if you guys have seen the style. You've read my quizzes, of course, right? But that is how I write, right? I would like to see how you write. And especially if you are, okay, and I understand if you come from a background that does not encourage writing, okay, that does not encourage essay writing, right? But the thing about this is that if you are very conscious, say for example, I will allow you to use stuff like Grammarly to help you with your grammar. The thing is, I understand if you ask a computer, hey, what is the synonym for kanina earlier I just said, what is the synonym for put forth? Right? So stuff like that, I definitely understand the help that computers may bring, right? But just let me know, okay? If you are using Grammarly or any kind of other thing to augment how you write, please let me know. Declare the use of such tools in a short italicized paragraph before the beginning of the essay, just so I know what I'm going to read. Okay? If I see any M dashes in there, I mean, I use M dashes na rin naman. But the thing is, if I see anything in there that smells like ChatGPT or Gemini or those other kinds of large language models, I will take it against you. Okay? All right. The deadline for this project is November 29. So, as of the time I'm recording this, there are currently 8 weeks, right? As 8 weeks tuloy. 4 weeks for you guys to finish this thing. November 29, Saturday, 10 p.m. There will be no extensions. The highest possible score will decrease by 10% for every 24 hours that pass after the deadline, bottoming out to 50% after 5 days. That means starting November 30, right? Or starting November 29, 10:01 p.m. If I receive your paper, your maximum score will be 90%, right? If it's November 30, 10:01 p.m., that will now be 80%. So on and so forth until I receive your submission, right? It will bottom out to 50% after 5 days. So for example, after 6 days, you submit your paper, your maximum will still be 50%. Mind you, that your project is 15%. Okay? It's 15% of your final grade. You must submit the paper as a printed hard copy submission. So, if you were wondering since earlier, like, well, what do you mean stapled? Yes, you will have to give me a hard copy submission. There are 2 possible ways of submitting this requirement. Either, number 1, you can submit the document to me in class time. We will meet, right? For EE1 and EE2, we will meet 7:30 to 9. So you can just hand it to me, right? After class, before class, or whenever you meet me in campus, okay? Whenever you meet me, you can give it to me and then I'm like, okay. Or number 2, you can submit the document indirectly through a box that is near the table outside the Department of Mechanical Engineering in Brother Andrew Gonzalez Hall, 8th floor. If you are coming out of the student elevators, turn right. Okay? Online submissions through Canvas or any other means will not be accepted. If you choose to email me, I will not, right? Or if you choose to submit it on Canvas or anything, I will not honor that. Okay? It needs to be a hard copy submission. And the thing about this is that once I'm done with your paper, and once I'm done reading and then grading your paper, I will give it back to you. Okay? And if I really enjoyed it and I want to I want to show it off to other people, say for example, it's really nicely made, I will ask for your permission, of course, and I will maybe ask for your soft copy version. Okay? And here's the thing, early submissions will be incentivized. Submissions made on week 10, currently it is the end of week 9. Submissions made on week 10 will warrant a 15 plus quiz score. Submissions made on week 11 will warrant a plus 10 quiz score. And submissions made on week 12 will warrant a plus 5 quiz score. There will be no such pluses on week 13. Okay? And you guys can read this for yourself, right? This is the criteria for grading. We will have 40% for content, 40% for accuracy and thermodynamic application, and 20% for grammar and cohesion. What I want to see is this. I want to see the paper be a comprehensive kind of parang an essay in your main point, right? If you are putting forth a thesis statement, I want it to be discussed fully. Okay? The points are complex, but the writing provides explanations that helps its audience understand, number one, and number two, enjoy the reading, right? And of course, your realizations, your conclusions need to be, right, or need to come from a place talaga of honest thinking, of honest reflection that will show through in your paper. Okay? Accuracy, of course, the data that you present should be accurate, right? And it should be shown clearly. And it should be shown smartly. I don't think that's the correct word, but it should be shown with intent, right? And if you're going to show, say for example, some data, make sure that it's readable and I understand why, right? Why you present it. Okay? The thermodynamic principles mentioned are true and manipulated in a truthful manner. If you want to manipulate the first law, go ahead, right? To make a certain point, just make sure that the transpositions, all of those other things that you do are truthful or make sense. Okay? No extraneous figures or tables are used. Everything is used for a reason. Hopefully that is self-explanatory. Okay? And for grammar, the paper is nicely written. Okay? Please, I want your articulation to reflect that you are a college student. Okay? The word choices are appropriate and elevate the piece. Right? The paper is paced correctly here. Of course, we need to have an introduction, a body, and then a conclusion. I think you guys already understand what that means. And of course, the flow and the grammar should make it very light to read. Should make it very easy, very understandable, right? I don't want to read something and then pause because honestly, honest to goodness, not get what you're talking about, right? I don't want to experience that, right? Say for example, you have a mistake in grammar. Okay, I still get what you're trying to say, but if your word choice is bad, if say for example the way you employ your grammar is bad, right? Your punctuations are all over the place. It will make me stop. It'll make me say, huh? Right? That's not what we want to do. Okay? And so that is it. If you have any questions, please let me know. But that is your term project. Again, the deadline is November 29th, Saturday. I will be waiting Saturday evening if you want to submit that late. But of course, right, I think the incentives, they speak for themselves, right? That is your project. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, that will be it. Thank you guys very much. I will see you next time.